So, hey, Sergeant, just to let you know what's going on is this individual, I was going over to this call for the vehicles. So he comes over, and as I got done, I'm coming down the roadway. There's a vehicle coming this way. I'm coming. I turn the corner. He goes around the vehicle. I hit my brakes to go off to the roadway. This car goes this way. He goes between us. He has no helmet on, and he has no identification on. So I just started telling him, hey, you know what you just did was an unsafe pass. I said, too.
But you stopped to talk to you.
Hey, sir, no one's talking to you right now, if you don't mind, okay?
Not a
I'm
problem.
not addressing you. This has nothing to do with
All right.
So if you don't mind, I appreciate
Not a problem.
You just keep your comments to yourself. And then, so I said, you have no helmet on. I said, can I get your identification? And then he goes, well, I don't have any on me. I said, okay. I said, well, you know you're supposed to have a helmet, right? I said, that's very unsafe to be operating a motorcycle with no helmet on. So I sat there. He gave me his identification. So I run it. And then I said, well, look, sir, you know, he goes, well, why are you stopping me? This is a private roadway. It's a private roadway or not. I said,
I didn't ask you why I was stopping you. I said I didn't feel like I was making an unsafe maneuver because when I proceeded to pass that vehicle, which was stopped putting mail in the mailbox, there was no vehicle coming the other way for me to see. When I passed his bumper, after I passed the bumper, they didn't see me. They were done with their job, and they jumped out, and I thought I was going to get taken out, and so I went over, and then that's when I saw you.
That's when you
right.
came, that's
Am I
when you
supposed
came
to
around.
I'm sorry, sir.
down in the road
let him go and
and
speak, because I don't believe you were there.
Or am I
were you there, sir?
Get in front of the vehicle?
No, hold on, sir. Were you there?
And get out of the traffic. That's what I felt like I tried to get out of traffic.
Hey, you know what? Whatever your version of the story, whatever my version of the story is, the fact of the matter is, did you have a helmet on? No, you didn't. Did you have identification on you? No, you didn't. Okay. So the last thing was I told him. So at that time I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cite you for no helmet and no identification on your person. So I'm going to go ahead and follow you home. He just sat there and stared at me. I said, I don't understand. Do you understand English what I just said, sir? He just sat there and continued to stare at me.
No, I didn't. I said, I don't live here. It's not my residence.
No, sir.
You called it my residence, but I said, I don't live here.
No, the first time I asked you, I said, I'm going to follow you home. Go ahead and go home. You stared at me for a while. And then I said, did you not understand English? Did you not understand what I just said, sir? You stared at me and I said, well, I'm going to follow you home. It's not my residence. I don't live there. I said, all right, I'm going to follow you home. So you got on your bike, and then you told me that you can't turn it off because, why? Because you said it's idling. Right?
Am I supposed to drive my bike all the way to Granite Falls?
No. I said I'm going to follow you to hold on.
What's going through my head after I get on my bike and I'm driving down the road? Am I supposed to go all the way to Granite Falls?
You must have interpreted what I said because you went straight here. Because you went down the road.
That's where my bike was. Sir. That's where my truck was.
So now you're giving
me. So I came here. I didn't speed when I left you. I came here. I parked my bike. I got my ID. My ID is now in my pocket. I came out here. I sat in the road and I waited
let's backtrack
for like at least 10
Let's
minutes.
backtrack, Chris. So after I tell him I'm going to follow him, Sergeant, we go to the T section, right? He knows where his father lives. He knows where he's coming from, and he knows that's where he's working on his motorcycle. He deliberately makes a right turn. I make a right turn, and right when I make my return, he spins the motorcycle around and takes off. So you see this dirt road. So I have to do a U-turn. As I do a U-turn, there's a vehicle that's going right here. He flies past him. As I do my U-turn, he's gone. I don't see him nowhere. So I come up to here, and the lady goes, he went down that way fast because I stopped and pulled over to the side because he came flying past me. He might be going back to the trails.
Judy? No, it was a chick just drove by right here, and she was still in the Y when I got in front of her, and I did the speed limit all the way down to here, and she stopped right down there.
And she said she don't know who he is. I said, do you know where he's at, where he lives? And then that's when I contacted somebody, and they said, what does he look like? I said, he's driving a motorcycle. She goes, yeah, I see him riding that motorcycle all the time. He's speeding, doing all kinds of stuff. So I said, he probably lives right over here.
You know, because my motorcycle's been in Granite Falls.
She didn't say that.
A year.
Yeah, well, of course she did. Because she doesn't like him.
And so this is the first day I've had my motorcycle.
I don't know.
Regardless who likes who, regardless of what's going on here,
it happened in my presence.
You were asked to come home. He was going to follow you home, and you chose to take it upon yourself to go in opposite direction, basically to try to lose the officer.
How far did you do
He gave him his information.
What?
How far did you go the opposite direction?
20 feet.
And he had
he made a right. This is what he did, sir. You see this T intersection? I said, go home. Let me follow you. I don't live there. I said, well, just go over there so that way I can go. You got your identification and helmet there. So I go up to the intersection. He makes a right turn.
He got out of his car.
I go make a right turn. Right when I make my right turn, busts to Yui and takes off speeding, and I don't have enough time to turn around. So that right there.
Then in roads. I don't understand that maneuver. Yeah, you definitely blew that.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cite you. So go ahead. You got your identification on you? You said you had your identification. That's what you came home for, right?
Right.
So where's it at?
I just, can I say something now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
When you make your decision, what's going to happen here, whatever. I just felt like when I asked you a simple question, and it was a simple question, right?
What was that? What was that question you asked me?
First I asked you if was that camera on? Maybe an advantage to everybody here if the camera was on.
Oh no, it was not on.
Well, I asked that simple question, your camera on, and you blew up.
Oh no, no.
Wait, no, you did. And you called us all, you were calling us weird people, they'd be lying and stuff.
No, I didn't, sir. I didn't call you a liar. What I said was this. I said, first of all, I said, were you there, sir? Because you started questioning what I witnessed.
Did you have the camera going now?
I got my camera going now. I remember.
Asked about his camera.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
So
I
when
totally.
you asked me, I sat there and said, were you there?
Right.
You weren't there.
Right, I wasn't there.
And he had his side of the version, I had my side of the version.
All
The
I'm
fact of the
saying
matter is
I know, wait. All I'm saying is, I asked a simple question, was your camera on? Because that would be good for everybody if your camera was on. Because they got proof.
you know what? It would have been great. That would be really great proof. But the fact of the matter is, your son just admitted. Hold on, sir. But the fact of the matter is this: whether it was on or not, did your son just admit that he didn't have his helmet on? Did he admit he had no identification on him? Did he admit he made a right turn and he goes, "Well, I made a right turn and I made a mistake"? So he admitted to all that. So is that story different from mine?
No.
Is it? It isn't. So whether the camera was on or not.
I had at that time that I needed to turn around and go back to Granite Falls.
Did you go back to Granite Falls, sir?
Well, it was going through my head. And then
Sir, really? Really?
was waiting
Well,
here
you know what?
for quite a while, though.
We could argue this, and what we'll do is, what I'm gonna do is cite you, and you could go to court, and we can have that discussion with the judge. Because the fact of the matter is if I would have turned my lights on, I could charge you with a felony crime. A felony crime is you're eluding a law enforcement officer after I told you, dude, I'm gonna follow you home.
I don't think I want to get that with you.
Excuse me?
You know,
You thought you were going
first
after the
thing you
car
asked me is
flying
how old
by.
was I, and I know that that's law, and I do not want to elude the police. That's why I came home. I
So
got my ID.
why'd you speed off then when I wasn't
I
behind you?
did not speed, sir. I never said I
Okay,
speeded.
no problem.
I never
Well, I'm gonna go ahead. We had to go
That's
through
why
all
I
this, and I had all these officers come over here because you sat there, wouldn't listen to me. I said, "Sir, come back over here." You tried to go in the house. You listened to me. Then you started walking over here. I said, "Hey, come over here." My dad told me I could go over to the roadway. I said, "Sir, stay over here." Did you listen to me? No. You continued to sit there and just do your own thing, just like you did when I asked you to stop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cite you, okay, sir? Hey, Sergeant. Hey, you guys, I appreciate you guys coming out here because the fact of the matter is, I didn't know how many people was in this residence. He had eluded me. He left.
We're all commissioned with the sheriff's office.
Disregarded whatever I
Well,
had
he
to say.
wanted the sheriff to come out.
I appreciate it, but only one of us got to say.
Well, see, you're dressed as tribal cop right now, so we don't know that you're a sheriff.
Yeah, he
We're
just said-
commissioned with Snohomish County Sheriff's Office.
Commission, so they have the same rights as you guys?
Absolutely.
Well,
Is that true, officer?
I thought I was yelling for you. No, we requested the sheriff to call. He was
Yeah.
the one who called the sheriff.
And that's fine. He can do so.
Well, that's what he was going back in the house for.
Well, that's what I told him. He ain't going back in that house. I don't know what they got going on.
Right. Oh, no.
You know what
I
I'm saying, Sergeant?
understand. I completely
He wasn't about
understand
to go back
not
in that
going
house.
back in the house.
Have never been threatening. I mean,
Down here,
Yeah,
because
and
I heard all the yelling.
But I already informed that we're across the commission with the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, but they don't believe that.
well, I want to hear it from one of the people dressed in sheriff's office suits.
I don't have to show anything to you. You understand
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
Because I just told you.
Anybody can buy that outfit.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's
I don't want any problems, number one.
No, and
You know what I mean? And I don't like the confrontation, number two, and the energy and the feeling and everything. And I just heard all the yelling here, and I just asked.